Welcome to another episode of Eye on the Community. I am your host, Sean Anthony, and it's always a pleasure to have this gentleman back on the program. He is the CEO and president of COSI. Dr. B, how are you, sir? Welcome back.
Sean Anthony, always a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having me and COSI on this incredible opportunity to connect with the community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So COSI is becoming well known for your learning lunchbox science kits. Can you tell us about this newest lineup that you guys have?
Yeah, so this grew out of the pandemic. As you know, like many organizations, we were closed and people love coming to COSI and we were closed. Our doors were shut. And even though the pandemic didn't cause the education gap that exists across America, it exacerbated it. So, more underrepresented zip codes or underserviced zip codes actually were feeling the pinch of the schools being closed more than affluent areas. And then when it comes to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, the gap was even bigger. And so we were like, well, if people can't come to COSI, we're going to metaphorically put COSI into a box and get it in the hands of kiddos and parents so they can continue the learning while they're going through this pandemic. Long story short, you talk about, a good idea for its time. That was a neat idea for the pandemic, but guess what? We've come out the pandemic now, but those kits, those learning lunch boxes are still a great tool. And what they are they're kits that have 5 to 7 hands-on interactive experiences that cover a topic. So we got a water kit, a nature kit, an energy kit, a human body kit, a dinosaur kit. Yes, people love space. So we don't have one, two, we have 3 space kits, etc. And so you can pretend that you're an astronaut launching a rocket, landing on the moon. You could figure out how dinosaurs walked. All these kits are themed off of an important content. And the really cool thing, for the K through 12 educators, the kits are actually aligned to what's called grade standards. So if you're a grade 3 teacher, we tell you this is the stuff that you actually have to teach that meet your standards. If you're grade 5 or grade 7, and to your point, these kits have exploded. We're in all 88 counties here in Ohio. We're in 21 different states across the United States and trying to get into 50. And we are in 9 different countries at this point, sharing our learning lunchbox as a great hands-on interactive tool.
Now, Dr. B, I know you've got a lot of stamps on your passport, and you're probably seeing different countries, different things that could possibly be an exhibit here in Columbus, Ohio. I know I have just genuine curiosity questions, like, for example, like what's really in Antarctica, but what are some of the topics that are inspiring you right now in the world?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad you asked that. One of the things that was important for me when I came to COSI is to get the team to travel, right? I mean, the more you travel, when I say travel outside the country, the more you travel outside the US, whether it's South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, you get to see how other people live and what excites them, and you can get inspired. So that's one thing that's been really good. The team's embraced that. To your point about passports, I have a whole lot of team members that never even had a passport, and now they got their passport and it's got stamps from like 5 or 7 different countries, and they're super excited. So absolutely, traveling has got us excited. In terms of what do we learn, I want to talk about 2 things. One, people, whether it's kids or adults, we're all the same in our hearts. And so what excites a kid here in Linden or in New Albany or in Brooklyn or in LA, it's the same darn thing that excites the kids in Japan, in Ghana, Africa, in Barbados, or South America. So that beauty of wanting to learn and interest in science, that's almost universal, which is really cool. In terms of what do we want to bring back here, that's a great question. As we think about COSI, it being a cutting edge science museum, what's that next big thing that we want to bring here? And, everything from cultural exhibits can be really cool. In Japan, Tokyo, they unveiled a Transformers exhibit. Now I'm dating myself, but I grew up watching Transformers and G.I. Joe. Right.
Right.
And so they got this amazing Transformer exhibition that I'm dying to bring here, but they're not traveling outside of Japan. Right.
Wow.
So that's one thing. But then on the other side, we see how technologies develop. You talk about things like generative AI, whether it's Intel moving here, but a lot of cutting edge technologies happening outside the nation, right? Whether that's in China, whether that's in Taiwan, whether that's in wherever. Are they some really neat aspects of understanding how they're developing technology and bringing it back here to showcase to the American public? This is cutting edge stuff, and this is some stuff we need to think about. So there's no bad exhibit. For me, we're always looking for the coolest exhibit that gets people most excited to bring through the building. We'll keep looking. I know you got some great, curious ideas, so feel free, Mr. Anthony, to share them with us at COSI. But yeah, we're trying to continuously move the bar with what we present to the public.
I love it. And speaking of the public, let's talk about the community. I know you got some awesome events lined up here in the near future. Can you let us know what some of the community events that you got involved with in the future?
Absolutely. So first of all, coming into the building, we have this thing called COSI After Dark. A lot of times people think COSI is for kids. They always say, oh, I went there as a kid and now I take my kids there. Listen, we love kids and we love families, but we do some grown-up folk stuff here too. So we have one Thursday a month. You just go to cosi.org, you'll see it. It's called COSI After Dark. It's from 7 to 10 p.m. We always have a theme. It might be Star Wars one time. It might be Harry Potter. It might be, the 80s and 90s. It might be disco. It might be game night. And you come in, you get your fun on. We have adult beverages, so beer, wine, full bar. We have food, but it's a great way of adults really enjoying COSI without kids running around. And then we have a partnership where we put on the Excellence Black Tie Affair. That's with that's with Jeff Gilliam, who runs this whole program, and we have about 3,000 to 3,500 African Americans and others in our building celebrating just how cool it is to collectively get excited about an important topic like science and do it at a science museum. So that's coming up on November 21st. And then we have another program called Science Meets Society. So a lot of times people might not come to COSI. So we said, Anthony, we're going to go to where they live, learn and lounge. So we were in on East Side up there on I think it was Long Avenue. We were inside a cafe, Ground and Grind Cafe. Brother and sister actually own this cafe, and it's kind of like a place to have gathering and have people come and just be comfortable. And so we go into space like that. We go into Coaches, the one on campus at OSU, the one out in Dublin, and we have these curated conversations. So if you're curious about what's all this talk about AI and generative AI, you're nervous, right? So it's not about hearing Frederick Bertley or Dr. B, because I know some stuff, but I'm not an expert in everything. So I'll bring in an expert. So one time I had an MIT professor, another time I had a professor from OSU. The last one we did was actually Dean Howard, the dean of the College of Engineering at OSU. And we set this thing up, a conversation on AI, and then I do a little fireside chat with her. But then you as the public, not in a 200 or 500 person gathering where, a lot of people, more like, 50 to 80 people, you get to talk to an expert in the field, whether it's climate science, whether it's vaccines, whether it's generative AI. And we do that out of the building in the community where people are hanging out and chilling. So those are just some of the things we're doing out in the community to really get people excited to understand that whether you're in Linden, whether you're in Mount Vernon, whether you're in New Albany, science is for you too. And we want to make sure you see that in your place in the backyard.
Absolutely. That sounds exciting. Well, before we conclude, Dr. B, what are some exciting exhibits or events that's happening at COSI right now that you can share?
Well, right now you can come see Paw Patrol. I know if you got a kiddo, or you can claim it as a teenager too if you want to, but Paw Patrol is an awesome cartoon. We have a whole exhibit around Paw Patrol, and then we're opening up in just a few days. We'll be opening up Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's called T-Rex. That's anything you want to know about T-Rex, whether you're thinking about that incredible movie that came out years ago, Jurassic Park, to cutting edge dinosaur stuff now. Come check that out. And then we have just really fun stuff at COSI. If you haven't been to COSI in the last year and a half, come to COSI. I promise you, you'll be surprised with the cool stuff we have right here in our building.
Well, I have a membership and I absolutely will be visiting, and I look forward to the gala, the Excellent Black Tie Gala as well. Dr. B, it's always a pleasure. We definitely appreciate you taking out this time to share all of this on Eye on the Community. Take care.
Sean Anthony, thanks so much. Next time I want to come in studio and do this live with you, sir.
That sounds like a plan, man. We can make that happen.
Bet.
Take care. Bye now.
All right, take care.